My sister insisted she only wanted what was best for me, until I found the messages where she took credit for my work, sabotaged my friendships, and convinced relatives I was unstable. When I showed everyone the evidence, the golden child lost her shine and I got my voice back. My sister's voice cut through the room like it always did, polished and certain, while mine faded into silence. I had just tried to share something small, a story about my school project, but she leaned in with that practiced smile and said, "She exaggerates." I helped her fix most of it. Everyone laughed and I sat there, my words stolen. My sister claimed she only wanted the best for me, but her help always left me feeling smaller. I learned quickly that whenever she spoke, my voice disappeared. She framed her criticism as kindness, wrapping sharp edges in soft tones. "I'm only saying this because I care," she'd insist, while correcting me in front of relatives or dismissing my ideas at family dinners. I remember one evening when I suggested a plan for a family outing. Before I could finish, she interrupted, "That's not practical. Let me explain how it should be done." Everyone nodded, praising her maturity while I sat there shrinking into the background. Her golden child image was untouchable. Relatives adored her, calling her responsible and wise, while I was painted as the emotional one. At gatherings, she stole the spotlight effortlessly. One holiday dinner stands out. I tried to share my excitement about a scholarship application, but she quickly shifted the conversation to her own achievements. The room lit up with admiration for her while my news was forgotten. Friends began slipping away too. At first I couldn't understand why. I'd invite them over, but they seemed distant, hesitant. Later I realized she had been planting doubts behind my back. She told them I was unstable, that I exaggerated things, that I couldn't be trusted. I overheard one friend say, "She's nice, but your sister told me she can be dramatic." That word followed me everywhere, shaping how people saw me before I even had a chance to show them who I was. Even my work and achievements didn't escape her reach. I poured myself into projects, staying up late, perfecting details. But when it came time to present, she found ways to take credit. One group project stands out vividly. I had done most of the research, written the report, and prepared the presentation. Yet when the teacher praised the work, she stepped forward, smiling, "Thank you, I worked really hard on this." The sting of hearing applause directed at her for something I had created was unbearable. Slowly I stopped speaking up. I convinced myself that no one would believe me if I tried to explain. She had built an image so strong, so convincing, that my words would sound like jealousy. I buried my frustration, focusing on surviving each day. I smiled when I had to, stayed quiet when I wanted to scream, and carried the weight of her shadow everywhere I went. But silence came with its own torment. I began questioning myself, wondering if maybe she was right. Maybe I was unstable. Maybe I was dramatic. Her words echoed in my mind, twisting my thoughts until I doubted my own reality. I remember lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying her comments, trying to figure out if I was truly the problem. There were small incidents that deepened the wound. Like the time I brought home a certificate for a writing contest. I placed it on the table, hoping for a moment of pride. She glanced at it, smirked, and said, "That's nice, but it's not really a big deal. Anyone could win." That. Or the time I tried to share a joke with friends and she interrupted, "She always tries too hard. Don't mind her." Laughter followed, not at the joke but at me. Her shadow stretched into every corner of my life. At school, teachers compared us, praising her composure while questioning my focus. At home, relatives asked why I couldn't be more like her. Even in friendships, her influence lingered, shaping how others saw me. I felt trapped, like no matter what I did, she would always find a way to twist it to make me look small. And yet I endured. I carried the sting quietly, convincing myself it was normal sibling rivalry. I told myself to be patient, to stay calm, to avoid conflict. But deep down I knew it was more than rivalry. It was sabotage disguised as care, cruelty wrapped in sweetness, and it left me questioning not just her intentions but my own worth. That was my life, living in my sister's shadow, silenced by her golden image, doubting myself because of her words. And though I didn't realize it then, those years of endurance were shaping something inside me, something that would one day rise when the truth finally came to light. The night was still, the kind of silence that makes every sound sharper. I sat in my room, replaying the sting of my sister's words from earlier, the way she had once again managed to turn my excitement into something laughable. My thoughts were heavy, circling endlessly, when I walked downstairs and noticed her phone lying on the coffee table. The screen glowed faintly, unlocked as if daring me to look. I hesitated, my heart pounding, but curiosity and years of doubt pulled me closer. I picked it up, telling myself I'd only glance, just enough to quiet the storm inside me. The first message I opened stopped me cold. It was to one of our cousins. "She's too emotional to be trusted." I had to step in and fix her project again. My breath caught. Fix her project? That was mine. I remembered the hours I had poured into it, the pride I felt when it was complete. And here she was, bragging about saving me, twisting the truth into a story that painted me as incapable. I scrolled further, each message cutting deeper. To a friend of mine she wrote, "She tries too hard. I told everyone I helped her, otherwise she would have embarrassed herself." Another message to an aunt read, "She exaggerates everything. You know how she is. I'm the one keeping her steady." My chest tightened. These weren't harmless comments. They were deliberate, calculated attempts to undermine me, to make me look unstable while she played the role of the responsible sister. The cruel details piled up like stones on my chest. She had told one friend that I was unreliable, that I often lied about my achievements. She told another that I was jealous of her success, that I couldn't handle being in her shadow. And then the one that broke me completely, I convinced them she's unstable. It wasn't hard. She does half the work herself by being so dramatic. I sat frozen, the phone heavy in my hands, my heart pounding so loudly I thought it might burst. My fingers shook as I scrolled, each word confirming what I had feared all along. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't me being dramatic. It was her. She had been sabotaging me, weaving lies into conversations, planting seeds of doubt in the minds of everyone around us. The emotional storm inside me was unbearable. Anger surged first, hot and sharp, making me want to scream. Then came sadness, heavy and suffocating, pressing down on my chest. Betrayal followed, colder than ice, leaving me numb. I thought of all the times I had defended her, all the times I had convinced myself she meant well. And here was the proof, undeniable, staring back at me from her own words. I whispered to myself, "Why? Why would she do this?" My voice cracked, swallowed by the silence of the room. I wanted answers, but the messages gave none. They only revealed her obsession with control, her need to shine brighter by dimming me. I sat alone for hours, scrolling through the messages, my hands shaking, tears threatening but never falling. I didn't cry. I couldn't. The pain was too deep, too raw. Instead, I stared at the screen, numb as memories replayed in my mind. The certificate she dismissed. The project she claimed. The friendships that slipped away. Every moment suddenly made sense. Piecing together the past was like watching puzzle pieces snap into place. I remembered the friend who stopped calling after spending time with her. Now I knew why. She had told him I was unstable. I remembered the aunt who looked at me with pity, whispering that I should take care of myself. That message explained it. My sister had painted me as fragile, incapable. I remembered the teacher who praised her for saving our project while I stood invisible. She had told him she had done the work. Every memory that had left me confused now had clarity, and the clarity was devastating. The realization was crushing. Every doubt I had carried, every time I questioned my own sanity, was real. She had orchestrated it, carefully, deliberately. And I had lived under the weight of her lies, believing them, letting them shape me. I placed the phone down, my breath uneven, my heart still racing. I felt like the ground beneath me had shifted, like the world I thought I knew had cracked open. My sister wasn't just the golden child. She was the architect of my silence, the reason I had doubted myself for so long. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, the glow of the phone fading, the words burned into my mind. I replayed them over and over, each one a knife, each one a confirmation that I wasn't imagining it. She had betrayed me not once but countless times, and she had done it with a smile, convincing everyone she was only helping. But even in the storm, a quiet decision began to form. I didn't confront her immediately. I knew her too well. She thrived on reactions, on making me look emotional. Instead, I chose patience. I copied the evidence, saved every message, tucked them away where she couldn't reach. I would wait. I would plan. And when the time was right, I would reveal the truth. That night, as I slid the phone back onto the table and walked away, I felt a strange calm. The evidence sat hidden in my drawer, printed pages stacked neatly, waiting for the right moment. I had spent nights staring at them, the words etched into my mind, but now I was ready to use them. I didn't rush. I knew my sister's strength was her ability to twist stories, to make me look unstable. So I chose patience, precision, and timing. The first step was small. I showed a close friend one of the messages, the one where she bragged about saving my project. My friend's eyes widened, disbelief flashing across her face. "She really wrote this?" she whispered, scanning the page again. I nodded, my voice steady. "This is what she's been doing all along." The shock on her face was enough to give me courage. For the first time, someone saw the truth without me having to defend it. I began sharing pieces of evidence carefully, never too much at once. With each reveal, the reactions were the same: surprise, anger, disappointment. Friends who had drifted away realized why. Relatives who had pitied me began questioning her. The golden image she had built started to crack, not because I shouted, but because her own words betrayed her. At a family dinner, one of my cousins looked at her differently. He asked casually, "Did you really say she was too emotional to be trusted?" My sister froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. She laughed nervously. "Oh, you know how messages can be taken out of context." But the room was quiet, eyes watching her, waiting for more. For once, her charm didn't work. The unraveling of her golden image was slow but steady. Relatives who once praised her blindly began to hesitate. They asked questions, subtle but sharp. "Are you sure you helped with that project?" Or, "Funny, I heard she did most of the work." Each question chipped away at her confidence. I watched her smile falter, her voice lose its certainty. She tried to defend herself, but the evidence spoke louder than her words. One afternoon, I overheard an aunt whisper to another, "I think we've been wrong about her. Maybe she's not the responsible one we thought." The words sent a rush of relief through me. For years, I had carried the weight of being misunderstood, and now, slowly, the truth was surfacing. With every shift, my confidence grew. I began speaking up at gatherings, joining conversations without fear. When someone praised her for something I had done, I calmly corrected them. "Actually, that was my project." The room would pause, then nod, accepting my words. I wasn't invisible anymore. I rebuilt friendships that had been broken. Friends who had believed her lies apologized, telling me they hadn't realized how manipulative she had been. I didn't hold grudges. I welcomed them back, grateful to finally be seen for who I was. The relief of being heard, of being believed, was overwhelming. It felt like breathing freely after years of suffocation. But the moment I had been waiting for was the final confrontation. I chose a quiet evening, just the two of us in the living room. I walked in with the printed messages in my hand, my steps steady, my heart calm. I placed them on the table between us. She looked at them, then at me, confusion flickering across her face. "What's this?" she asked, her voice too casual. "You know what it is," I replied, my tone firm but quiet. Her hand hesitated before flipping through the pages. As her eyes scanned the words, the color drained from her face. She tried to laugh, dismissing it. "These are just jokes. You're taking them too seriously." I leaned forward, my gaze steady. "They're not jokes. I lived every word of this. Every lie you told, every friendship you sabotaged, every time you made me look unstable. It's all here." Silence filled the room. She closed the pages quickly, her fingers trembling. For once, she had no clever remark, no smirk to hide behind. Her mask had crumbled. "I don't know why you did it," I continued, my voice breaking but strong. "But I'm done pretending it didn't matter. I'm done letting you twist the truth." She opened her mouth, searching for excuses. "I was just trying to help." "You're too sensitive." I cut her off, my voice sharp but calm. "No. You weren't helping. You were tearing me down. And I won't let you do it anymore." Her silence was louder than any words. She looked away, her confidence shattered, her golden image gone. I stood, leaving the pages on the table. "This isn't about you anymore," I said. "It's about me. And I'm choosing to walk away." That was the moment of closure. Not a dramatic fight, not a shouting match, but a quiet truth that couldn't be ignored. I walked out of the room, my steps light, my heart steady. In the days that followed, I felt a freedom I had never known. The rivalry no longer defined me. Her obsession was her burden, not mine. I had reclaimed myself, not through cruelty but through strength. Revenge, I realized, wasn't about destroying her. It was about refusing to be destroyed. It was about standing tall, reclaiming my dignity, and choosing peace over bitterness. And as I moved forward, I carried that lesson with me. I was free, stronger, finally at peace with my own worth.